started. Great to see all of you this morning. Last coffee with the manager in January, we had a real small turnout because it snowed that day. So there were some die-hard people here. We had a great conversation with a small group. So it's great to see all of you this time. We'll start out. Kate and I are going to take turns sharing, giving you a little bit of a report on things going on that our entities are doing. And then anytime during our discussion, you're welcome to raise your hand and chime in, give some additional information, or ask questions. And then you're also welcome to bring up any other topics that you would like for us to discuss as a community. We appreciate your candid feedback, and it is very helpful to us as managers as we look at making improvements in our government entities. So this week we had our first conference call with a group back east they're actually from the EPA that are helping the city. We were one of 10 cities across the nation selected to participate in technical assistance, and they're helping us come up with an action plan for outdoor recreation and how we can market that and capitalize on that. So we have various experts on their team that have worked with many communities and small rural communities, which will be helpful, and they're going to help give us insight. So we're going to have 2 conference calls. We have a steering committee, and we have about 8 to 10 people on our steering committee. The city, the county, there is Main Street, Economic Development, the Council of Governments, individuals that are involved in our trails and outdoor activities, a couple of engineers. So we had our first call yesterday, and they were talking about the process we were going to go through. We're going to focus on 4 areas in coming up with an action plan. One area is marketing. How do we brand and market what we have? Another area is how do we develop our amenities? So our amenities are things mainly in the Main Street downtown. How do we look at traffic and parking and what the community looks like downtown? How do we deal with the boarded up buildings and speed limit and all of those things that might impact tourism and people working downtown? We're going to focus on site doing activities. So what can we do to promote? What kind of activities do we want going on in our community that we can promote? And then last, we're going to look at trail connectivity. And there's been a lot over the last 10 years as far as working on trails in our county. We've partnered with McKinley County. Our county now is working on a trailhead and part of a trail out at Quartz Hill in the Zuni Mountains, which we're anticipating will be a tourist attraction and something very wonderful for our local citizens to be able to go out and mountain bike or hike. There's another trail activity on Mount Taylor that we're working in partnership with the Forest Service. We're calling it the Grants Ridge Trail, and we've been working on that for a little over a year with a team and the Forest Service. So we're looking at connectivity to trails, and we have another conference call at the end of February, and then mark your calendars. They will be coming to do a 2-day visit, but they're doing a community night where they would like for the public to come out and provide additional feedback from the community, and that's going to be Monday, April 6th. And we'll put out some advertisement for you all, and remind you about that. But it'll be in the evening, and we're thinking we'll probably have it at the Old County Complex so that we have plenty of room to take as many people who want to participate in that activity. Some of our staff just went to Santa Fe to visit our legislators and to talk to them about our capital outlay requests. So each year at the legislature, we put in requests for funding for various things. We put in 4 requests. One was design for Washington Street. So you may notice we're working heavily on Jefferson Street, which is one over from Washington, down close to Mesa View Elementary and that area. That area was brought to our attention many years ago because of the flooding. So it's kind of the low point for our whole town. So the apartments there, the homes there, the community center, the elementary school, the churches in that neighborhood all flood when we get a big rain. And so they're working on the drainage on Jefferson right now. We need to address the drainage on Washington. The grant schools are getting ready to build a new school at Mesa View Elementary, so it'll be a nice conjunction with what we do, but we're asking for design for Washington so that we can look at the drainage, the utilities, as well as sidewalks. I get numerous complaints off and on from community members regarding youth walking in the street because there's no sidewalks in that area. So we have found if we have a design ready, then periodically the state will have funding available, but they look for shovel-ready projects. So when you already have your design, then you're more likely to get additional funding from the state. So we're looking for design for Washington. The other project we asked for funding for design for the Roosevelt Bridge. So over the last probably 5 or 6 years, we've been replacing all of the bridges and grants that are dilapidated and basically falling apart. So Roosevelt's the next one slated. And then we asked for money for a skidster, which would be a smaller than a backhoe to do some fine-tuned work on the roads, and where we could dig up smaller areas rather than using a great big backhoe and making a big mess out of our roads when we have to dig up lines. The last thing, some of you may be aware, but there was money available last year for a rodeo arena, and it's gone kind of back and forth whether a covered rodeo arena or an enclosed event center. The association owns the rodeo grounds. They are not eligible to receive capital outlay funds, state funds. So they asked if they could give the rodeo grounds to the city so that we would be eligible. It looks like there's a possibility of in the neighborhood of $4 million to help do some upgrades to that rodeo grounds. And we're not sure yet. We're going to go visit Stanley, New Mexico, which I believe they have an enclosed rodeo grounds. Socorro has a covered rodeo grounds. So I've already visited that one, and it's wonderful, and they have been able to have many more events and activities just by having it covered. So we're just looking at how can we improve our rodeo grounds. My sister lives in that neighborhood, and I'm always amazed at how many activities they have there. If you're not into rodeo events, you may not hear about them, but there is a lot almost on a weekend basis, especially during the nicer season and in the summer, that go on at the rodeo grounds. And we believe that we could capitalize on more events if we continue to make that a nicer event center. The idea behind the funding is also to make it multi-use. So George Munoz has been involved in the funding, and he has been very adamant that whatever we create over there needs to be available not only to rodeo events, but to sports events, other youth activities, youth sports events, so that it serves multi-purpose. And that's always better when we take facilities and we make them multi-use rather than only serving one population. Career fair. Eileen Yarborough, who's our economic development director, who works closely with the city, the village, and the county, gave us an update report. She has been working with other partners in our community to help address the layoffs at the power plant. And one of the things that she and others have organized is a career fair. And so they're inviting businesses that are potential for hiring to come to a career fair, and then inviting those that are looking for jobs, especially those from the power plant, to be there and see what the opportunities are. There's many other things in the works, and maybe later Eileen would like to share, but our community has come together, and the Workforce Solution Office, we have a Workforce Solution Office in town, and they have done what they call a rapid response to help the individuals who are possibly going to lose their jobs in knowing what's available, what paperwork they could fill out, what resources are available to assist them through a transition to possibly a new career. The sludge from our wastewater treatment plant. So our wastewater treatment plant creates sludge, which is kind of the solid, semi-solid material at the end of the day once they clean sewage. And typically we've had ponds that the sludge has sat in. That is no longer allowable to leave ponds with sludge, so we have to be hauling off the sludge. So we have a apparatus in the new treatment plant that takes the sludge, it takes the water out, that takes the sewage, takes the water out after it's treated, and then comes with a solid material, which is looks a lot like dirt. And right now they had us set up to take that to the landfill, and so it's quite expensive because we have to pay per tonnage to dump that at the landfill. Well, Santa Fe Coal has gotten a permit. They've been working over probably the last 6 months to get a permit, and they are going to be able now to take our sludge and use it to reclaim the earth where they have mined coal. So they will be putting that sludge back in and mixing it in with the dirt out there to help restore the area where they've been mining. So it's a benefit to both the mine and to the city, because we'll have the expense of hauling, but it will save us a lot in dumping the sludge. And then it's also a good use because it's very fertile material and good for soils and good for growing crops, and it's got a lot of benefit. And we'll continue to look and see if there's other options. We worked out a deal as well with Elkins, who has some farmland out on the west side of Milan, and he's going to be taking some of the sludge as well. So we've gotten the permits to take it there and use it for farming. In a little bit, I'll let Kate talk, but you might be thinking, with this outdoor recreation group, we talked yesterday about how our community, we need to capitalize on what are we unique for? What's our specialty, or what would attract people to say, hey, I want to go visit Grants? And we kind of talked about Roswell is known for aliens. So what is it that we as a community might be able to capitalize on and be unique for, that people might want to go, hey, let's go to Grants? Some of the things that came up was that we have such a vast outdoor area that it's very tranquil, there's serenity. Some of the committee members talked about going skiing on Sandia, and that there was like 300 people on the trail that they were on, and we were saying how nice it is in Grants. We can go out on Mount Taylor, the Zuni Mountains, and for miles you might not see anybody, or when you're out you might see one or two cars. So is that something? But in a little bit, if you guys think of something, or in the next few weeks you think of something, that what are we special for? I'd like some feedback from you, but I'll turn it over to Kate.
I have one question for you.
Yes.
On this sludge stuff that you're hauling, how are you guys going to get this, man? Every time we do something like this, we tear. The roads in Grants are messed up as it is.
Yes.
And then these big trucks are just tearing. Look at this road. This was a perfect road right here.
Yeah.
And look at it.
Yeah.
They're off everywhere.
Yeah, we're going to have to make sure they're following their load limits, because there are limits, and we may have to dedicate that it's a lower load on certain roads. I noticed on Zuni Canyon they have posted a ton limit for trucks going down that road. So yes, we're gonna have to work. Right now, there's a contractor that's removing the sludge from the old, and that's what's torn up the golf course road. So they've agreed to repair the road when they're done. But as we move the new sludge, we're gonna have to figure out, yeah, what route do we wanna go? What is the best roads?
And then you have Sacrolares that got tore up with the school, the building of the school.
Right.
It's never been repaired. You know, I mean,
You're right.
you know, that's sort of like ridiculous. We're doing saving money in one place, tearing up roads, that's gonna cost us even more money somewhere else.
Yeah, we have no choice as far as hauling the sludge. We've got to
No, I
do,
understand
yeah, we got to
that,
do something with
but,
it.
You know, sometimes, you know, I'm just saying that we tear up too many roads in town, and the roads in town are not very good as they are.
And yeah, you're right.
How much was the grant for? I must have missed it. The EPA grant?
It what didn't come with a dollar amount. It's a technical assistance grant. So this team from the EPA, who have various experts on it, are going to work with us and help us come up with an action plan and do a site visit. So it doesn't come with actual cash, although Evan from the Council of Governments told us that in his experience, when we're done with our action plan, they have a lot of connections with funding agencies, and so they will be able to help us know where we should apply for money to help implement some of our plan. Yes.
Could you explain the steps involved when someone wants to volunteer to serve on an advisory board here in the city?
Basically, if we have openings, the clerk puts out a notice in the paper. The applications are online or at City Hall. You fill that out. It gets submitted to the mayor, and the mayor is the one that makes recommendations for appointments. Typically, we don't have very many people applying, so typically, not always, there's been a few times that several came in all at once and the mayor will pick one. But typically, he might have one and we have one opening and he makes that recommendation to the council and they vote to accept them.
That was part of my question, was whether it had to be voted on.
Yes, it's voted on by the council.
Okay.
Yes. Uh-huh.
There is a vacancy at the community pantry. They need a board member from grants to represent the pantry that's in Gallup. The Gallup Pantry does a lot for this community. They spend a lot of money for our pantry here. And we don't have a local representative right now on the pantry. My term of service ended in December. So they do need, ideally if we had two people, the meetings are held in Gallup. And if there were two people driving together, that would make it better.
Yeah, have they talked about advertising in our community? Have they talked about putting out an ad saying they need a grants board member? Because you're the only one I've heard say that. I've not seen anything publicly announced.
I can mention it to them.
Yeah, that might help, and then maybe some of us can help, you know, get the word out that they need board members.
And then the Animal Care Center, we're trying to get a larger group serving on the board so that we really have a great team, because everyone brings a different perspective to the challenges that the Animal Care Center has. So it would be great if we had more board members for the Animal Care Center.
Yes, some individuals here today mentioned that Main Street has several board member available. So there's plenty of opportunities to volunteer and get involved, definitely.
Excuse me,
Yes.
Laura, you know what happened to me? I volunteered for the senior center 3 months ago and I haven't heard nothing.
Yeah, I think yours went in the same time. I think there were like 3 applications that came in from that solicitation, and I believe the mayor picked one. So I think that's what happened with yours.
I didn't even get an interview or nothing.
They don't typically interview. You just turn in your name. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Good morning, everyone. Are we all awake? I'm not. I need more coffee. So I'm actually going to be really quick on my summary. I've invited Michelle and Natalie from our clerk's office to talk about what's coming up on their department and how busy they are. And I've also, Jenna and, hi Dolores. Dolores is over there. We have a really good news about our pictometry. So I thought we need your help, really, I think. Your ideas and input, so they'll be talking as well. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. We went up to Santa Fe, all of us, a lot of us. We went for training also, a lot of meetings, affiliate meetings, talking to people. It was tiring and exhausting, but we all did it, and I think we represented Cibola County very well. Very proud of all our employees. Capital outlay requests. We talk about how much fun this is, this one, asking for a multi-purpose and a new roof for a swimming pool. And the county's really boring because our main problem is roads. You know, roads are expensive. We just talked about it. And we did request, the commission voted on 2 big projects. Our biggest project is Road 1, County Road 1, and it's literally going to sink if we don't do something. And so I had to put my foot down and not ask for nice stuff, like, you know, equipment and skidsters and multi-purpose buildings and all the fun stuff. I had to ask for a road fix because it's going to cost more than $1 million. Our other request was for, I know I keep repeating myself, but we're consolidating all our buildings, and we're bringing up the sheriff's department up to our property, the new property, so we have to work on our new building to get them in and secure. So that was our other request, and that's going to cost about $1 million. We've done a lot of RFPs this last couple of weeks that will be going out next month, well, in February this month. We have an RFP for a security fence around the courthouse in the back for district court. It was on the plans when the Taj Mahal was built, but it was cut. So district court received capital outlay funds for this, and they have requested that we be the fiscal agent to get the fence because we own the property. So we'll be working with district court on that. We're also we're moving 911 dispatch into our property. That's another RFP. And then we're also doing an RFP for drainage. We have some drainage issues that have been going on for a year. We have to start somewhere. We're asking for an engineer to come and do some testing on all our drainage that we own. We own 4 drainage pieces. So that's what we're doing there. Audit. Our audit was released. I can now tell you that we had 4 findings and unmodified. We did fantastic. Really, really good. So I'm very proud. We had 19, and we had the worst one was a disclaimer. That meant that it's the worst that you can ever get, because it's basically saying that we weren't responsible. We couldn't even add, let alone operate. That's what disclaimer really means. It means that they were not confident that the monies or anything was being done correctly. And unmodified is the best. So we did great. We have 4 findings. We'll be working on them. I'm just really proud of everyone. So it was good. So thank you. I also wanted to have some good news. Roads. The commission, I asked if the commission would approve a 15% pay increase for our road crew, and they did. And this is the beginning of a really good plan. We have to put more money into our roads, and we have to have experienced employees. And to do that, we have to take care of our employees. We have to train our employees. And so we want them to think of this as a solid, family, secure job to continue, for a career and then retire. Roads are a unique project and department that we have, and we don't want to just always keep losing to better positions. They move on. We want to keep them, and we want to care for them and tell them that they are so important to our county. So I'm really glad that the commission approved it. We're able to do it. Paul was going to be here to explain that it was definitely our roads definitely needed it for our monies. So that was it. So I'm going to turn, unless you got any questions. Yes.
I have two.
Yes.
Could you talk about the memorandum of understanding between the county and the city? There are 3 of those, I believe.
For.
Well, one would be the senior center, and
Uh-huh.
one would be the library, and I believe the other is the animal shelter.
Okay, so those 3 entities were, they're not MOUs. There's one MOU, one JPA, and one contract.
Okay.
So they all have different sort of meanings of what they do. The JPA is for the animal shelter. So I know the sheriff's department also has animal control, and they assist. But we also give money, because by law the county has to give some money to animal shelter, so we're taking care of the animals that our deputies have to handle. So that's the JPA. The contract is
Is it the library?
the
I'm trying to
library's the
think which
contract.
one. Okay.
So we don't have to give any money to them, but the commission feel it's really important to help those that entity. So we do a contract and we give $30,000 a year for that. And every year it can be different. But right now it was 30,000. And we also we actually brought it up from 5,000 from for the library. We've brought it up to 30,000. So it was only, we weren't paying very much, and I think the commission were absolutely correct in bringing that up. It's a benefit for all. So we brought that up from 5 to 30, and then the other one is the senior center. We think that's a huge benefit to all citizens. So the commission approve every year how much money they give, and they give 30,000, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The other question is library related, the bookmobile, does
Yes.
the county still participate in that state program?
You know, I've actually spoken to the Bookmobile a couple of times now, asking what's going on, if they could add a few areas, and I'm not getting any response. But they do go out in the further areas like Fence Lake and El Morro.
Oh, they do?
Oh yes, and they have a schedule. They know they're going to be there at a certain time. So I know it's well loved. But I was hoping we could get more out of it. We do give, I think it was 5,000 this year to help it, so.
Great.
Okay?
Glad to hear that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Oh, I have really good news before I tell. Kate, won a drone. I put my card in that thing, and I won the drone. So if you see a drone, it's me. So.
You knew it's gonna be mine.
I was so excited. It's like, ooh.
Yeah.
I would like to welcome you lovely ladies. Would like to come on up and discuss. Come on, you can do it. They're so busy right now, and I thought it would be a good time for you guys if you have questions about the election and how the process works. Natalie, are you coming up?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Michelle Dominguez. I'm the Cibola County Clerk. I just have a few dates. We're really busy in our office because of elections right now. The municipal election is going on. We don't actually run that election, but we assist the city and Milan. We certified machines for them last Thursday, and they got some ballot boxes from us, and so we assist with the election through the primary election will be June 2nd. So the governor issued her proclamation on January 27th, so we're already working on our election also, plus the municipal. Early voting and absentee for the primary election begins May 5th, and then the election is June 2nd. So basically we're just working on our election stuff.
When do people file for the county positions?
March 10th.
So she's very humble here. You have no idea what you have to do to get this election going. There's a lot of behind the scenes work. There's how many employees do you have to employ just to get them out to the areas for the voting and training?
We
altogether?
have to have poll workers. We have to have in Laguna, Acoma, Rama. We have to have at least 5 poll workers in those areas, and then plus the ones here, Blue Water, Fence Lake.
So the
it's
coordination is
about
a-
over 100 poll workers that we have to train to get trained for our elections to run the polls on that day.
I mean, that's a job in itself, you know, to get that, all that working, training. It's big, and these guys in the clerk's office do a really good job. You know, I'm very impressed of how calm it is in there, because I wouldn't be calm. I'd be having like a meltdown. It's like the caucuses, you know, I'd be like, oh my God, it's all breaking down. So I just want to say they work really, really hard, and I really appreciate this department. So
Thank you.
if anybody has any questions,
So where are the voting locations and grants? They might want to know where they can vote. Early voting is at City Hall, but then election or voting day, March 3rd, will be at City Hall, Future Foundations, and is it Elm? I don't know
The
if
CAP
it's-
office.
CAP office on Elm. So there's 3, and you could vote at any of the 3. So we've gone to convenience centers. So because every year people are like, where do I vote? And sometimes people get mad if they've gone a couple of places and can't find where they go, and they decide not to vote. So you could go to any of those 3 for the city. Now, Village of Milan, do you know where they're voting at?
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec, okay.
And I don't know if any of you have received a letter from our office saying that precincts were changing. I know we got a lot of calls. With that, we're doing redistricting also. On top of
before
the
you
election.
go on, I want you to explain to them, this is not Michelle thinking, let's make it difficult for everybody.
Yeah, no.
This is statute. This has been directed to all clerks. Everyone is changing throughout the state.
It has to do with the redistricting that they do every 10 years. So right now, on top of our elections, we're having to redistrict. Some of the precincts split due to, like Rama split precincts because of their voting history. For years and years, the vote turnout is really good over there. Acoma split their precinct in 2 because of the population. So with all this redistricting, we had to send out letters from the Secretary of State's office. They sent us a template. I know on there it said that there will be a card attached to the letter, but there wasn't, because they told us we just had to notify people of the redistricting and that the precincts were changing. And so when we went to Santa Fe, now they're telling us we may not have to send out a card because we're going to be doing more redistricting at the end of the year for the commission, Senate, representative. So they told us first we had to send it out, then now they're telling us we don't have to send it out and to wait. So we're still up in the air on that too.
She's so patient. I wouldn't be this way. Anyway.
So, Michelle, if we want information about our new polling district, we can look on your website?
You can look up get on our website and look up your name and it'll tell you. If not, you can go into our office or call our office and we can let you know.
Seven Cities is offering free, those that are candidates for the city election, if they want to come in and post their position, it'll be on our website, www.sevencitiesproductions.com, and this is at no charge to those that are running for blue class.
Hello.
Michelle?
Yes.
Is, are the applications for county positions available yet at county paperwork
For
for applying for,
poll workers and
No,
for elected positions?
yes, you can go by our office and pick one up, but filing date is March 10th from 9 to 5.
But you are able to pick them up now to review them.
I went in a couple months ago and they weren't ready. There wasn't any paperwork yet.
Yeah, they weren't available to us yet back then, but the Secretary of State's office sent them to us, so now they're available.
Why do they do redistricting?
Population changes, people move in and out of the county. People are having more kids.
So did they try to balance each district?
Yeah, they
so
have to
that-
try to balance it out where
They
it's
try.
even. Try,
Population?
yeah.
We're trying to, Laguna is a very poor turnout, so I know that they're working really hard this year to promote that, and we're looking for a VRC
Yeah.
position,
Voting rights coordinator.
voting rights coordinator in Laguna. So I'm hoping, because they have a very poor turnout. Do you want to explain how poor it is?
We have voting rights coordinators in Laguna, Acoma, and Rama, and what they do is they're employed by the county and work for the clerk's office, but we give them all the information for the elections, and they get it out to their area. And Laguna, there's a little over about 1,400 registered voters out there, maybe a little more, give or take. But for an election, maybe about 300 go out and vote. So we're
trying
working
to-
with them to try to get some more voter turnout out there.
Michelle, do you know offhand what percentage of our population votes overall?
It depends on the election, because like for this last election, the local election, there was only like maybe 5% that went out and voted. For a presidential election, maybe you could get at least 50%, if not a little more. When the governor runs, and sometimes it's less than the presidential elections, so it varies.
The city has the opportunity to get on the same schedule as the county and the nation, basically, to have our voting in November instead of March. Our mayor chose not to do that this round, but it looks like the council's thinking we want to get on that same track, and for the whole reason that people usually, there's more going on as far as voting in November with the national elections, and so we might get a better turnout. Same for school boards. School boards used to be, I think, in February, and now they're on the November schedule. So if we can get everybody on the same schedule, it just means more people will be going out for various reasons and
And
get a
actually,
better
it
turnout.
costs a lot less, so the taxpayer money is being used a little wiser, so.
So if they opt in, Milan and Grants didn't opt in this time. If they opt in, your guys' elections will be the same as the local election, which is November of odd years. So it was just this one that happened in November. So actually there'll be an election like every year because of the new local election that they have.
Are we still all awake? Are we boring you? So, thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you.
So, yes, census, thank you. We're doing the census, we're working with a lot of areas outside. It's really important to educate this year because it means that we can gain a lot of opportunities, grants, funding. I'm going to give you an example, Fence Lake. 10 years ago when they did the census, they had 43, I think, that actually registered, that actually went for the census. So they thought Fence Lake 43. We know that with our rural addressing and what we know from our paperwork, there's 299. So think about it. Commissioner Lucero actually did a really good presentation concerning this. He was up in Santa Fe. Do you want to talk about how much it costs for one person that we could get? We could.
well, if everybody's counting, we're all worth the United States government, $3,748 per person, and that's from newborns to the old people.
There's still-
So, if you think about just Fence Lake alone, we got whatever for 43 people, and there's 300 people out there. That's how much money we lost. And that's, if you think about it, you know, $925,000 in just Fence Lake alone.
Possible funding.
Yeah,
There's a lot of,
possible.
grants, but they look at the statistics. They don't come down and view, they'll look at the statistics and say, how many people are in Cibola County? So as soon as we go out for a grant, that's what they do. So we need to get that number right. And what we're trying to do, we're going to go out to the fire departments. We're trying to assist our elderly and our young, and also people that really don't want to have anything to do with government, right? And I get it, government is a nightmare. But this is really important. This is not to do, this is something that we gain. We can get so much out of. So they don't ask you your bra size, they're going to just say, this is one person, and that's it. So we're going to go in there and we're going to actually help them. We've bought laptops and computers to move around, to show them how to do it, to help them do it if they want help. So I'm hoping that this will be a much more successful count than 10 years ago. Yes.
Remind them too that the IRS does not have access to those forms because a lot of the
Absolutely.
questions involve how much money do
Yes.
you make,
Thank
how
you.
much property do you
Yes.
own, things like that. People think
You are, thank you very much, exactly. So it's not about finding information. It's about the count. This is all about the count. So absolutely, the IRS is not going to come to your door just because you're going to say you are a person living in this area for, and how many people are living in the house. Thank you. This is all about educating, right?
And INS.
Yeah.
Don't forget about INS.
INS too. Yeah.
A lot of people will not fill out this information because, they might not be U.S. citizens. But, if you know anybody, have them, encourage them to fill it out because they still count as being in a county.
Will they accept them if they're not complete? If somebody doesn't feel comfortable putting in their income and blah, 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 blah? Do they have to be complete?
Yes. They're being trained, and we're still looking for people that are willing to do this. They're getting paid $16 an hour, and the training is exactly that. They will know how to, what's going to count and what's not going to count. Okay. I don't think it has to be, I think there's some things that are optional, but I think there's certain things that have to be put in there.
I worked the census probably 20 years ago or so, and it was
hard.
It was.
They've made it much easier. I know that.
So you could either do a paper count or a
online.
Computer one online?
Yep. So we'll be going out there and talking and hoping to help, get them in and get the count in, and then you won't hear from the census for another 10 years. So there you go. This is really good news. So I'm really excited about Jenna and Dolores explaining about pictometry. Jenny, would like to come on? Dolores? I'll get out the way. I don't mind. Pictometry. This is pictometry. This is the software system that we did last year. The commission approved, and it's going to assist and help. And anyway, they know what we're asking for your input, and maybe you might be interested in doing what you want to do.
Good morning, everybody. Again, I'm very pleased, and I want to thank the Commission for allowing me or our office to purchase this Eagle View Pictometry program. This is a really neat program. Even before I ran and when I won, this was one of my projects that I was really wanting to get up and going with the assessor's office. This program itself is kind of like a GIS program where you can actually view somebody's property. It's not like I can go and see you in your backyard. It's just a picture that's taken. But what it does is we can the appraisers can actually do their work from their desk to assess somebody's property. We can actually see what's on that property. We can measure a home. That way we can actually do accurate assessments on everybody's property. I'm very pleased to say that we are 95% complete with our first flyover. We have 2 other flyovers that will be happening. One of the things that with this program, it does cut down on a lot, well, it will cut down on a lot of safety issues with our appraisers going out in the field with what they encounter in some areas with individuals not allowing them to get into their property, the animals, the dogs that are there, so forth, the safety issues. So that'll help that a lot, as well as our vehicle usage, cutting down on purchasing our vehicles or even using our vehicles. I'm not to say that they're not going to go out there, because they will have to go out there on some occasions. But just on the couple of weeks that we've been up and going, I've had my appraisers viewing different, just going in, viewing different properties. We may have had something on your property that you're being assessed for, come to find out it's gone. But then we've also been able to pick up on a lot of properties that individuals are not reporting that they've had construction built on it, which brings up value. We had our first training last week, and that was our admin training. That just basically was kind of like a overview on how to create accounts and so forth, and users, and we're limited to so many users. So that went pretty well. We will have a training again tomorrow for our office staff. It'll be an overview training just on how the program actually functions, what it's capable of doing. And we'll have another one going on Tuesday, I believe, as well. What I would like to see in the future is I would like to get the entities involved, maybe wanting to buy into the program and so forth. And what I do plan on doing, and I've spoken with Brian Garcia, who's kind of like one of the lead people for Eagle View, is to have a presentation, invite the entities to come and take a look at how the program actually functions. This would be a benefit to the city of Grants, the village of Milan, as far as your zoning, may be able to use it, your roads, your law enforcement's. I really think it's really good. If anybody's interested, they can reach out to my office, leave me a message, and I'll set something up, a time when we can all meet. Again, like I said, we are 95% complete with the first flyover. I believe we would have probably been done, but due to the snow, they're not able to get a good view of a lot of the property. So until that snow melts, we won't be complete with what we've done. I believe that is all I have. Jenna?
I got with Kate yesterday. We kind of rough drafted a little list of the entities that we think it would benefit. Starting with yesterday, Continental Divide was in my office, had some questions with the Pueblo of Acoma, and I was able to pull this, the property up, shows the parcel lines, and they were able to track where they had power lines to report to taxation and revenue for their tax purposes.
Are they gonna go for the training? We're offering the training?
Yeah, we're gonna, we just need a full list before we can set a date for that particular one of who's all in. I also think we're gonna grant kind of like a trial period access to let you see if you can benefit from it. The cool thing is it's a web-based application. So once you have a username and login, you can log in from anywhere at any time, just with using Chrome. It's the deal with the flyovers is we tried to get it once the leaves fell, and then we had some snow. So they've done a couple flyovers. that have included the same properties multiple times, and they're just layering them. So if you go to a particular property and it says it has 3 or 4 pictures, you can click. One of the cool things that I seen was Western, the prison is, they flew over that probably 3 or 4 times, and it's so clear that you can actually count the prisoners on one of them walking across the line. And so the whole county's flown over. The pixels are a little bit different on the areas that aren't concentrated. The areas that are concentrated, like in town, you're gonna have really good pixels, so you can zoom really clear in. It's gonna measure the area, line to line, and then also height. So for 911 especially, Dustin was really interested because if there's somebody lost in the mountains, it can calculate. You can click 2 points, and it'll calculate the distance with the terrain and stuff.
It's really awesome program.
Interested for active shooters and such as that, because with this we can assist with the emergencies. We'll know how large the windows are, how many windows are in the, everything. So we're hoping to utilize it as much as possible. So I think it's great that you're opening it up, and I think that what you're wanting to say really is, you know, Laura, please bring someone in for that training. You know, contact them, because it's a really good software that's going to be utilized not only just for Grove but for 911.
Well, we've had access for a little over 2 weeks, and we've already seen about 30 properties that have a full single-family residence that have never been on the tax rolls out in the rural areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
It's
often
neat.
will you be doing the flyovers? Like once a year for changes, or every 5 years? Or?
It's really up to us. I think in this first contract, it's contracted 2 flyovers, and I think the next one is 2021. So we just completed, or we're in the middle of this one, which was most done in December, end of November through now.
So it's an actual total of 3 flyovers.
So they also, because this is our first flyover, like I said, they have other pictures, and they use Bing also and Google Maps, so you can go and kind of see. Once they get the second flyover, they'll lay above each other, and you can add the different layers, so you can see if they added a garage that wasn't there during our first flyover. That's built now, and then it's really neat.
It's an awesome program.
Does anybody have any questions?
About a year ago, I started building a house up in the Zuni Mountains, about 20 miles from here. And so when I went to get my building permit, I had to have an address for it. And the county actually put me in grants. Is that still true? I mean, I have an address in grants, but I'm 18.5 miles out of town. I think it was maybe for your emergency.
Probably with Daryl. Yeah.
Real addressing.
I need to know because, you know, for other reasons,
Right.
what my actual address is.
Can I ask that on the phone? You are welcome to go to the office and ask for Daryl. Daryl does the rule of record, and he will give you your physical address.
Well, I have a physical address, but it's Grants, New Mexico, but I'm 20 miles from the town.
Go back to see Daryl and see if that is correct. 911 is kind of a little different sometimes with the actual physical address.
I have another question about the 911, what's it called, red dot? Red.
Code red.
Code red.
Do they have, how do they find places that are out in the woods like that? I mean, in an emergency, like if there was an emergency, what do they tell the ambulance services?
So that's when the 911 rule of record kicks in. So the 911 dispatch, their software can actually see where the phone has, if there was a 911 call, they'll have an area and they'll ping the phone, or then they'll use the 911. That whole thing will just go right to where they're at. Hopefully it's in the, as quick as possible. So it's a huge office is getting bigger every year. And it's costing us a hell of a lot. But it's saving lives. Yeah. Come on by. So, I hope this is helpful with bringing departments in. It's really great to work when we drop. They work so well together. We communicate. It's just a great team. So if you have any questions, please feel free to come in. I don't just say it, I mean it. The doors are open. And there's always someone to answer your questions, or we can find the questions for you. But these guys are working really hard. You think they're all different, but it's so amazing how everybody has their own jobs, but they all have to flow because it's all connected, all of it. From, recording, appraising, financials, everything has to come together. So you have to have a good, proactive team to make that work. So, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Before we end today, does anybody have some suggestions on what makes our community special that we might be able to highlight? Anybody have a brainstorm? The people?
I would say that access to the national monuments and all of the hundreds of thousands of acres of public land.
We have a lot of artistic people.
Yeah, I would say culture.
Okay.
I would say that's a good place to
Good. I know Michael Lewis really was wanting us to focus on retirement. That brings to mind there's a gentleman who owns property off of Cabrico, I think is the road, but they tried to develop that area years back, but I don't know if this is a new owner, I'm thinking it is. And he's partnered with a contractor, but they are wanting to, they don't want to call it senior living, but that's really what it would be a gated community in that area and start building homes. So we've been meeting with them periodically, several of us. Eileen is one that's working with the city, but just trying to see how we can help facilitate that. And that would create construction jobs for one, but he's wanting to target people from California. And we've had several from we've had several from California move here recently and purchase property and homes and are enjoying, like you said, a retirement here. And so we do have a wonderful hospital, a medical clinic, and we have very little traffic, and so there's a lot that we have to offer for people who are retired.
nice senior citizen centers.
Yes, yes. Barbara.
We should also look at the East Coast with the taxes going so high on the East Coast. I'm sure if you would advertise there, it might.
Yes, that's what they're thinking, that our cost of living is less and people in California can sell their house, buy something out right here and still have money left to live on. Yes. Barbara.
I understand that one of the title companies recently have been closing 15 properties a week. A lot of them are coming from Arizona. The taxes in Arizona have gotten so high that a lot of those that are retiring in Arizona are even coming here. So this is, and years ago, Paul Milan had said we need to focus on those seniors. They bring in money already. They have retirement money. The cost of living is here. And then we have all of these amenities that most of us take for granted.
We also don't have to provide a job for them. They're retired. You bring all of their assets with them. They don't require a lot of infrastructure. They're outdoor people. They typically try to stay healthy. A clean environment. One of the things we have here that a lot of places don't have is clean air. And we should fight for it to keep clean. And there's a lot of benefits for retirees here, especially, and I think the number one thing is lower property taxes.
One of the other things, you mentioned clean. We've got this new facility here off of Sacaleras that's just put in this facility, but underneath that is all dirt. And so when the wind starts to blow really bad, it's going to be picking that up. I don't know if we can have any influence on their putting gravel down under that facility or something, because that's a challenge too, is when the winds blow, we don't need all that dirt blowing into our homes and
Yeah, we'll make sure we have a conversation, see if we can encourage that, something.
I just wanted to add something. Before it was very windy, I think you brought some flyers and some forms. I think the biggest question that I have right now that everybody to think about is, that's our monthly report that you're welcome to, if you don't have enough. But our GRT is going up. You've noticed it too, Laura.
Yes.
Why? There's reasons why. But every month it's increasing. And it's increasing over what we budgeted. So why is our GRT going up? Anybody?
Because people are starting to spend money in grants.
Right. And then we just heard about the title companies with the monies coming in. People are wanting to live here. So it's just interesting that you can actually see it on paper. So,
Yes. Okay. Eileen would like to talk a minute. Come on up.
Get my pen.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Eileen Yarborough. I am the Executive Director of Cibolo Communities Economic Development Foundation. I have been working, I wanted to give you an update on the WARN notice that was given by Escalante. Our organization has been working very closely with the Cabinet Secretary, the Department of Workforce Solutions, the Northern Area Local Workforce Development Board, that federal WIOA funds flow through, and the Cibolo Workforce Connections Office. There will be, the DWS will be going on site February 12th for a listening session with the employees to get feedback on what it is they actually want help and assistance with, whether it be 401k and retirement planning, pension planning, job search, all the gamut. It'll run the gamut. And DWS will make sure to have all of the resources available once they know what is needed. Then on February 17th, Representative Xochitl Torres Small is having a job fair for the Tri-State Escalante employees. My understanding is that it will be at the NMSU Grants campus from 4 to 9 p.m. There will be services on site from Department of Workforce Solutions, from Cibolo Workforce Connections, and it will be a jobs fair specific to try and bring employers that can fill the needs of these people with their technical skills. So we're trying to match jobs with skills and get these people employed here in New Mexico, trying to keep them from going to another state. We're trying to keep them here in the community as much as we can, but realistically, that's going to be a challenge. So we're looking for employers within a 100-mile radius of grants. That's the labor pool that we pull from now currently. We're looking at companies in Albuquerque, so people can commute, companies in Gallup. We're also looking at jobs up in the northwest part of the state, which they're reeling from their own crisis up there, but really we're also bringing in employers from the southeast part of the state who cannot get enough employees down there to help them meet their needs. And so there is a bill in the Senate that would help with that could increase activity at the Grants Milan Airport to fly them out to these job sites. It would increase activity here. They would continue to have a job in New Mexico. They could continue to have their home in Grants if they choose to do so, until we are positioned to have industry or entity on the ground that could replace those jobs from Tri-State. Then on March 19th, there will be a community-wide career fair as well, a second run. As you know, the first let go or layoff at the plant will be March 12th. So this community-wide job fair will be a week after that. They'll have had time, the employees will have had time to be off for a week to think about what they're going to be doing if they haven't already. And again, we will be pulling in those employers for a wide focus to try and find employment for them. Within this community job fair, there will be a reverse career fair specifically for the tri-state employees. They will have employers on site that will do interviews and possibly even offer jobs on site. And so that is what economic development is doing right now in relation to Escalante, in relation to the industrial parks. We have funding to work on getting the rail up to scale. We're working on the second phase of the refinery project that we're trying to move forward and get that done. We're working with the Village of Milan and on their interest in the greenhouse industry. I can tell you that the governor is looking very heavily at Cibola County for some type of value-added agricultural industry. And we have a greenhouse sitting here empty, and we can very easily get that filled with cooperation. So we need to look at all of the things that are available to us: outdoor recreation, value-added industry, value-added agriculture, the distribution, logistics with the rail and the interstate. Those are all things that we're working on. But specifically, and right now, we're trying to address those who will be losing their job within the next year. So if you have any questions, I have a business card and we'd be happy to talk with you.
Eileen, are you guys interacting at all with the New Mexico film industry?
So we are at a state level. I know Chris Roybal is the local film liaison.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're posting, sharing any opportunities that come up.
We created a city and then a county ordinance a couple of years ago, but we've had a couple of staff dedicated. The county's helped with our marketing coordinator, which, by the way, Michael Lewis was the brainchild of our marketing coordinator, and I think that's been very good for our community to look at how can we market ourselves and spend a little bit of money there to increase our GRT and people coming here to visit and to live. But she's been very involved. In fact, she's going up to Santa Fe Monday. They're having a statewide event at the Capitol, but she has built the relationship with the state level film industry, and we have a group of German individuals here from Germany that are going to be making a small Netflix film in our community. She has a couple of commercials that are getting ready to be filmed here, and she just heard yesterday the possibility of a movie coming here. A lot of it is kept real hush-hush until things are happening. I don't really understand all of that, but some of it she can't share, but she's built some relationships that I think we're going to see some of the filming coming here. And the good thing about it, it's not long-term jobs, but when a film is produced here, the people on the crew have to eat, so it means catering for our restaurants, and then they might need their clothes dry cleaned, and they might need a construction set built, and extras for the movie. And so it does create some short-term opportunities for locals to get involved and reap from the industry. And Albuquerque has really taken off, and so another thing Chris has done is she's taken a lot of photos of our area and she's submitting them. And in fact, she submitted some of the bowling alley, and so there's going to be something filmed at our bowling alley because there was a group looking for an old-time bowling alley. So she's been working really hard, and we're hoping that will help create a little bit of revenue for our community.
What I'd like to see us move toward is getting a production facility built here. You may know Netflix just bought a big facility over in Albuquerque that was an indoor studio. And that may be why this project is happening with Netflix now over here.
Could be,
But not
yeah.
just filming here,
But a production.
facility.
You know, and
Because
we,
it's right between Gallup and obviously our
Yeah.
outdoor area is great for filming, but a lot of films are now indoors.
yeah, Farmington has a film studio and so does Las Cruces. So, and they, I believe, received some state funding to build those, but, you know, it might be something we could refurbish one of our older buildings and make it into that, because we have so many empty buildings, but.
We actually have some leverage right now because of some of the policies that's happened at the state level. We're losing jobs. And so we have some leverage to say, listen, we lost jobs because of your policies. Now we want jobs here.
Right.
And it's a trade that we can make with the state, that one of these big projects that come in, instead of doing it in Albuquerque or Santa Fe, put it over here.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, we've definitely got the ear of the higher ups at the state level because, you know, they realize we're going to be hurting.
So I can also let you know that Economic Development had a meeting with the governor's office, and so they are aware of what is going on here. They are aware of the plans that we have for our area and the sectors and targets that we're recruiting for, but they are looking for something to help our community. And I'd like to talk to you some more after the meeting, Michael.
Okay. Any other comments, questions, suggestions, Terry?
Or just so everybody knows, the quadrathlon will be going on next weekend on the 15th. So if anybody would like to volunteer, show up Saturday morning around 6:15 in the morning if you want transportation up there. We'll be bringing in between 200 and 300 people to participate, and they'll probably have another 300 people with us. If any of you like to come up and play in the snow, see us that morning at the old county complex on High Street.
What is being done to promote the product? We used to see it on the local channels, and we don't see that anymore.
The basic advertising is now being done on the internet, and because most of our people obviously come outside of Grants, we get about half from Albuquerque and then the rest Arizona, Colorado.
We used to see that on the local channels.
Yeah, if you watch Facebook in particular, the local people, I think, are pretty well the same people that do it every year. So our advertising is basically outside the area, and through lodger's tax, it has to be, is it 50 miles?
Yeah, 50 miles or more
You have to be
further out
50 miles
to advertise.
outside the radius of Grants. So the bulk of it's that way. KMIN is running it. Their associated radio stations at Albuquerque are running it. We mail flyers out to 3 years of past participants so that we think they were the best. We had over 5,000 people visit us at the Duke City Marathon. So pretty broad range, but targeting the athletics.
So many of your volunteer committee attend various races across our state, but also in Colorado and others, Utah, and they take paraphernalia and advertisement with them. They wear T-shirts that say Mount Taylor Quad, so that the people say, well, where's that? When is that? When they see the T-shirts. I think they've had ads in magazines that, you know, are frequented by athletes. That kind of stuff is what they're doing.
Just acquired a trailer that they're going to be taking to various athletic events, mostly bike races around the Southwest. It'll have the quad logo on the side of it and hopefully draw an attraction to those people that actually do those sports.
You know, that's one area we can really capitalize on is events. My granddaughter's in a dance program here, and they had a competition in Farmington. But I'll tell you, about half of Grants was at that competition. One whole area of the bleachers were all people from Grants that many of them went and spent the night before, because the competition started at 8 in the morning. You know, most of them, I'm sure, ate out and got gas there to travel back. So I think, you know, that's an area. I know Joanna had told me too that she spends her weekends taking her grandkids to fun activities. So the more, you know, we focus on youth activities, events at the rodeo grounds or various things, these races, it brings people to our community. And even if it's for 1 or 2 nights, it all helps.
Laura, just so you all know, we're also partnering with the 50K, which is a race on Mount Taylor that occurs in late September. We have the Quartz Crusher bike race out in the Zuni Mountains that we're partnering with, and the triathlon out in Milan there. So and then the Cibola Trail Alliance is also partnering with us. So we're actually getting 3 or 4 or 5 events here on an annual basis.
Yeah, the Cibola Trail Alliance has a website, and they have listed about 4 or 5 events throughout the year now. They have a triathlon in Milan, Quartz Hill Crusher. There were several things I noticed they just put out. So it's really exciting because they're most of them are a young group of citizens that have really gotten involved in our community, and that is so great to see.
Maybe you should have a bike belt.
Maybe, huh? Yes.
I'm kind of new here, but do you have anything for conventions here?
We haven't. So that is an area that we can grow in, is by developing maybe a mini convention center.
Well, you know, when I was in Arizona, all the clubs like the Rotary and the Lions would move their state meetings around to different areas. And those aren't huge conventions, but they do bring in people and money.
Right.
So I have my dream for this is we belong to NMC, New Mexico Counties, and they have 2 meetings a year. One in the winter, which is always in Santa Fe because legislation, and the one in the summer, every county has an opportunity to bid for that conference, and it's a 4-day, 5-day conference, and you're literally bringing in thousands of people. So, you know, we have areas. I'm just hoping that one day we could bid to have that, because it's a great opportunity for us. So
Have we thought about repurposing the National Guard building?
I know that some, I believe Senator Sanchez, and there's a few people I think have been working on that, possibly seeing what we could repurpose that for and utilize it for. Yes.
The county owner or the state?
I believe the state owns that building.
I thought they had donated it to one of the entities.
no, I've actually been looking at it also for other reasons, and I've met with them. They flew down. It's a big area. Yeah. So yes.
What I'd like to see us work toward is getting a motel in the middle of Grants, possibly where the old
Building?
where the old high school is.
Oh, okay.
The county owns that building.
The old 5-on-5?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Keep going.
Get a motel that was right downtown there, then, and tie those 2 together. We have a convention center and a motel, and it would create a lot of activity downtown there. And like I said,
Absolutely.
you don't need an Albuquerque-sized
No.
convention, but there's a lot of these small conventions,
Yes.
firefighters,
Right.
these, you know, all kinds of conventions that happen around the state. And this is a great place to do it.
Well, and then people could visit the mining museum while they're here. They could visit the historic museum that's developing now, the Riverwalk area. There's a lot developing in that area. Yes.
I'm actually talking to a hotelier. I'm just waiting for you to give me the go-ahead on when I can move over.
Okay, he's going. All right. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you for your input.